In this video, we'll start to explore how you can create charts with ChartJS. And one of the things that we're going to do specifically is, because that's the most common thing, that most people are probably aware of the 8 standard charts, but there's far more what you can do with ChartJS. And I'll show you, for example, how you can create a gauge chart, which is very fascinating to do. And it's quite easy to do. Alright, so let's begin. So to start with this, all we need is the following. We have here a blank file. Basically, you can see here, this is our file. You can type in test, save. No, just cancel that one out, then refresh. You can see this is our file. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine ChartJS with Bootstrap, because Bootstrap is really nice and very suitable. It complements ChartJS very well. Alright, step 1. Let's get the starter template from Bootstrap. So you go to bootstrap.com and then you can find here the starter template. Yeah, so it's in the documentation, in the introduction, and all you need is click on this here for copy this starter template to your clipboard and then just repost that in here. So we're going to paste this in here and let's save that. Once we save this, refresh the page, and now you can see we have our design. So to make a design or a chart nice, we're going to make a very focused design, meaning the background will be dark and we're going to put in the center a card, and in that card it will contain the ChartJS chart that we're going to create. Alright, so let's do that now. So what we need is here is the following. First thing is we're going to give the body a class to make the background dark. So we say bg dark, and then what we're doing is we're going to create a div. And in this div, this is the div where we push the card to the center, because we don't want the card to be full page, but we want to have only like 50% of the page, so only in the center. So that means that we need to use our call MD6, so that's 50% of our space is going to be used, but we also have to push it 25% away from the left side. So that means we need an offset of MD3. So once we have that, all we have to do now is to create another div, and in this div we say class and then we put in our card. So we say here card, and to make this proper we're going to indent this correctly, and within the card of course we have our div class card body. There you are. Alright, so once we have this, we're basically done here. So let's save this and refresh. You can see we have this, but of course here up we still have something we can do. So what we're going to do is we're going to add up here a padding or a margin. It's one or the other. So what we're going to do is to make it suitable and not to adjust or modify the background here, we're going to use padding. So you probably understand why, because if you do margin, the dark background color will be affected, and then you have like a space between there. So now we have a padding, so it means that in the background we still have this div. Alright, so now we have this, let's start and work on the real thing that is the ChartJS. So what we're going to do is we're going to just put in this hello world comment here. We're going to put it in here, and then I will just say here visit chartjs.com. Yeah, so this is basically my site, so here has a small promotion. So of course you can skip that part, it's not necessary for you, but it looks quite nice for me. Alright, so we have this here now, and in here we're going to put in, of course, this is very important, because for ChartJS you have to work with a canvas tag. The canvas tag is basically the tag that we use to create our chart. Yes. So if you understand ChartJS works with a canvas. You have other chart libraries, and they work with SVG. And SVG is basically more suitable if you want to have it like responsive, because it doesn't work with pixels but with percentages. And canvas works with pixels. That means that the bigger it becomes, there might be what we call a pixelated effect. Of course, ChartJS have solutions for those things, but right now we will not focus on anything on that. We're just going to create our canvas. So yeah, at least you have an understanding of these things. So what we're going to do is we're going to our chart-js.com site, and we're going to click here on mastering ChartJS, because that's what we're doing right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to add up a canvas, And to do that, we just select here the getting started. So the getting started part is the documentation. This is basically the video version or the video documentation of ChartJS. So it helps you a bit more. As you can see, there are some things, and this is basically the layout we're going to make. So we need a few things here. Yeah, so we're going to use a canvas tag. Yes, that's what I was already discussing about. So we're going to copy the canvas tag and we're going to give this an ID. ID can be anything. Yeah, so in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to make a gauge chart. So I will say our ID is a gauge chart. Alright, so once we have this, basically here we're done. All we need to do now is we need to add up the script, the JavaScript library of ChartJS. So that can be done here below. And you can see here, these are all from Bootstrap, so everything else here below you can ignore. But the ones that are important is here. So this is the important part. Important JS scripts. Alright? So what are we going to add up? Well, we need to add up the following. Here we're going to add up what we call the like the CDN with the latest ChartJS library, which is 2.7.3. And based on my latest information, they are updating it, and very soon they're almost complete. 88% of it is complete. They will launch 2.8. So that will be very exciting as well. Alright, so we're going to paste this in here. We copied that and we paste this in here. So now we have this. Now what we need to do is we need to put in here basically the script, the JavaScript information for our chart. So basically all the chart data should be here. To make it simple, I'll just copy a structured version of it that we already have here, and I know there is a sample here. If you just scroll down here, you can see basically you can get all of these, but we're going to just copy all of this here. This is the key information, and then after that we're going to work on creating our gauge chart. Alright, so we copy all of this, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to paste this in here. And we're going to update a little bit. So to be ES6 ready, yeah, so we can use here let instead of variable. This is the more modern term of writing JavaScript. So use let and here another let. So let or variable context equals this document here, or equals this variable here, this information here. So let's save this for now. Once we save this, refresh the page, and you can see here, let's see what's going on. It doesn't work yet. So you might say, why it doesn't work? Well, let's check here, because remember we give it a different ID name here. So let's go back here. We have here the canvas ID. It's the gauge chart. And if we would open here the developer tab, you can see here some information. It says, alright, it cannot read get context. Alright, why it cannot read get context here? Because this part, of course, doesn't match. So it already gives you the indication where the issue is. So let's copy this gauge chart, and we're going to change the name here to gauge chart as well. Save this, refresh the page, and now as you can see we have this wonderful line chart. So what we want to do is we want to have a gauge chart. So we're going to change this. So if you really understand how ChartJS is built, ChartJS is built basically on, there's a foundation of the charts, which are like, for example, the line chart, the pie chart. They have like a certain foundation. And then if you look at the bar chart and the line chart, the foundation is very similar. Radar chart is also very similar to the foundation of the bar chart. The only thing is that the radar chart is circular, so there's a circle instead of being a square. Pie chart is also slightly different, but the gauge chart and the pie chart are almost identical. So let's start and convert our current chart here to our wonderful full gauge chart. So to do that, we need to work with what we call the pie chart. Yeah, so basically it's not really a pie, it's a donut. So we say donut. Let's save this and then refresh. Now we get, of course, an error. And the reason why we get the error, because the foundation doesn't match. So you will see here probably there's a lot of issues. It doesn't understand what's going on here. And apparently I didn't type in donut correctly, so we'll have to remove the T here. It must be donut with the H only, no T between here. Save that, refresh. Alright, so apparently it does work. But as you can see here, the colors are not matching. So this is a slight different foundation compared to a normal line chart or bar chart. So what we're going to do is we're going to play around with this now. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just give all of these a different color, so it's easier to spot. That's number one. So how can you give a color to your donut chart? Well, very simple. You see here the background colors here. You have this information here, and we're going to give it here some numbers or some color names. And we're going to make this also an array. So we say green, and then we're going to put in brackets between here, indicating that this is a JSON array. Yes, so this is a JSON array because this ChartJS works with JSON. So the information is very important. So once you have the green, we can say here another one. Let's say blue, then comma red, comma yellow, comma aqua, comma purple. All right. So let's see how that will look like. Purple. Refresh, and now we have different colors, and we have one grayish color, or at least this color is what we call the missing color, because this is of course not being identified here. So we can say here, for example, orange. Refresh this. Now we have this part, and then you say, well, this is nice, but look at these border lines here. That doesn't look nice. So let's adjust the border lines as well. This should not be here. So to do this, all we have to do here is to adjust the border color. Basically, you can match up the border color by giving the background color and the border color the same thing here as well. Let's save this, refresh, and now you have a very nice matching. What is even better, and that's personally what I usually recommend, is you can just make this white, because white looks quite nice, and it's easy to see the differences between it. So refresh here, you can see now white. There's some space between here that looks quite appealing. Alright, so we have this now. This is a donut chart, but you say, well, okay, how do we make a gauge chart? Well, basically, a gauge chart is a half donut chart. Yes, so it's only a half of the arc. So just like it starts here like a rainbow, and it ends here somewhere. So let's start and do that as well. So to do this, we're going to use some ChartJS commands here. This is very important. Yeah, so we're going to use some of these special options. So to search for these special options, we can use the official documentation, and we go then to the pie and donut chart detail. So we scroll down here, and this is the official documentation of ChartJS, and you can see here donut and pie. Same also, you will be also able to find it here in the details here. So if you go here, we can also go to the chart in ChartJS, and then of course we have all these options here. This website is currently being updated with all the latest things, and it goes more deeper. However, let's focus now on the most important one, which is our, do we have it, the pie and donut information. So I have to scroll down here, focus on this. Alright, so it's, are we on here? Not yet, so let's refresh this for a while. So while this is loading, I'll just explain exactly what we want to do. So first of all, what we want to do is in the options, we want to adjust it by adding new information. Alright, something happened here that is incorrect. So let's remove this. I think this is probably the right information. Alright, so that was it. So what we want to do is basically we want to cut the donut in half. And this is what we call a rotation. So we need to adjust the rotation. So if you scroll down, you can see all these data set properties. Yes. So we already did a few of them with additional colors, background color, hover, and all these kind of options. And we're going to now to the configuration options. So the configuration options is related to this part here. As you can see here, configuration options go here, right? So that's the one we need. And then here we need to select now exactly what we want to pinpoint. So we go here, config options, yeah, configuration options, and then we search here. What do we want? So there are a few things that we need to do. And this is this one, the rotation and the circumference. So it will sweep to allow arcs to cover, right? So basically the arc circle, and here the starting angle of to draw the arcs from. So basically where it starts rotating. So if you go to our chart here and refresh, you see there's a rotation starting from the top here. This is the rotation, and this is the circumference, indicates the length of it. So let's first cut this in half. Yes. So we need a circumference for that. So what we're going to do is in the options we say here circumference, and then we put in the formula. Basically, we're going to copy this information here. The circumference is a number, yes, so the type is a number, and this is the default, yes. So if you want to cut it in half, all we have to do is we have to cut the value here in half. So basically, to multiply it by this formula, should be, instead of 2 now, it should be only 1. So let me show you exactly what we're going to do. So go here, the circumference, and then what we do is we paste this formula in here, and then we put it in here. Here, well, no need for a comma right now. We just only save this, and let's see what happens. So once we have this, let's go back here, refresh. Did we save that? Oh, of course not. We have to put it on 1, sorry. So we have to put it on run right now, yes? Then we refresh, now you can see our arc is only 50%. That's exactly what we want. But if you refresh as well, we want to look like a rainbow, meaning it needs to start here at the bottom. Because right now, look where it starts. It starts here at the top here in the north side, and it doesn't make any sense. Alright, so we're going to use now the rotation. Let's go back here to our documentation, and you can see here the rotation part is this. The rotation number is minus 0.5 multiplied by pi. Yes? So we can copy this, and remember rotation. I'm going to say here the following, comma, then we say rotation, and in the rotation we're just going to paste the formula, and then we have to play around with this. So if 0.5 or minus 0.5 starts at the north side, then is the question, if you would put in, for example, the positive version of 0.5 will start at the south, right? It makes sense. It will go down 50%. So let's save this and let's see if this works exactly as we want it. And of course it works. Refresh, and you can see here now works. Alright, so what we need to do now is basically, if this is minus 0.5, this is 0.5. So probably here should be 0 and this should be 1. But let's explore. Let's say if we have 0, so then it should be now probably on the east side. Let's refresh, and you can see now it starts at the east. This is an exactly upside down rainbow. So what we need to do is basically put this on value of 1, then it will start like a rainbow version at the west part of the card. Alright, so this works exactly what we want. And now we have this, let's do something more fancy as well, because now we almost have our gauge chart, because basically this is already part of a gauge chart. Just look at it, you understand this is a gauge chart if it will indicate exactly what we want. So let's start and do something more. Let's reduce the size of this, because right now this chart is very thick and we want a very narrow version of that, so let's do that as well. To do that, all we need to go is to the donut and pie chart information, and then we say here the cutout percentage. So by default, the cutout percentage for a pie chart, or sorry, for a donut chart is 50. Pie chart equals 0, meaning that's why they have almost a similar foundation except for one adjustment. And if you understand this, the gauge chart has almost a similar, except there's 2 adjustments. So there's hardly no difference at all. So let's put this in here. We're going to put in a comma. And then we say here cut out percentage. And then we say instead of 50%, which is the default, let's put this on 90%. So we save this. And then we go back here and then we refresh. You can see now we have this very nice rainbow. It looks almost like a rainbow because it's so colorful. So this is one of the things that we need. Of course, we're not done yet, because now we can really play around with it. Because what's a real gauge chart? A gauge chart basically should indicate the value. It's like a meter. It will indicate the value of something. Because right now it indicates every possible value, and because we have so many arcs. So what we need to do is we need to remove the amount of arcs. We only need 3 arcs. Yes? So let's start, or we can do even 2 arcs. So let's do the 2 arcs and we do the 3 arcs as well. So step 1. Let's only have 3 values at all. So I'm going to remove all of these. And we're going to remove all of this data as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove all of these labels here as well, except for 3 of those. Yes, right now we just leave it on 3. Later on we can probably hide this. This is not even necessary. However, just ignore this for now. And let's say this is the temperature meter. Yes. So this label is basically the title of this here. If you can see, if you hover over, you will. No, it doesn't. It's like the title, basically the title. But you can say temperature. Yes, sorry, I'm not even sure if I'm writing it correctly. That should be it. Alright, so let's refresh it. And then you can see here now we have this gauge chart. However, we're not done here. You say, well, this is nice, but this is not correct. That's true. So what we have to do is, because this is like a speedometer or temperature meter, so what we need here is basically a color, which is not important, and then we have like a arrow basically that's pointing the most important part, and that is the one that should have a color. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So let's make this gray. We say this is also gray, yes. And then if the value would be, let's say we want to point out a specific value. If this, the temperature, let's say is from 0 to 100, yes. And we want to point out temperature 50. Yes, so we need here 49 points. Once we have the 49, then we have here, of course, the remaining of 50. So let's save this, and then you probably understand that the total is 100, and 49 is gray because that's not pointing; it's pointing at the 50, and then the remaining is also the remaining part will be gray again. All right, so we'll just save this and refresh. Now you can see it start to pinpoint the center here. And if you want to make this a bit more appealing, what we can do here is even to just do like this, to make it even more clear and more thicker. You can see now it's getting really clear. This part here, this is 50. So this is like one of the speedometers. It's like a speedometer version where you have an arrow that's pointing the specific speed that you're driving or the temperature. So if the temperature would be, let's say 23 degrees or 24, yeah, so it's 23. And then here is +1 is 24, and the remaining, so 100 minus this, minus 24 is 76. So let's save this, refresh, and now you can see here we're starting to point out this. Alright, this is one of the options you can do. And maybe say, well, this is nice, but I don't like this here. You're right. Yes, so we can say here a few things. We can give the labels here. Maybe say speed. Yes. And then what we want to do here, of course, because this here is basically the legend. Yeah, so it's refresh. You can see here the speed, and you can see here speed, and you can see this march here. Probably this here is none or none. We just put this on none. You can give it a different name. That's alright. But you can see it is the speed here. So what we want to do now is basically hide this. So how can you hide this? Well, very simple. Putting a comma. Oh, sorry, no comma here. No, what we have to do is we're going to add up something additional. Yes, so we're going to put it here above, and then in here we will say the legend. Yes, and the legend has an array, and then we say display because we want to hide it, so we display false. We put here again, of course, a comma because this is a continuation of the remaining here, but this is false, and here no need for comma because there's only one value here. Save this. Refresh. Now you can see we don't have the legend anymore being displayed. It's only just focused on the speed. So this is one of the ways how to do it. Let's do another one. So how can you do another one? This is like a loading or completion type of gauge chart. Yes. So basically you have two values. Now you say let's say done or completed, and this is loading still. Loading, not leading. Loading. Alright. This can be loading gauge chart. Alright. And then in here, basically, we can do the following. Yeah, so if you have like 100% as well, then of course we only have two values. And the reason why we only have two values is it's loading, and it starts from 0 and then go all up to whatever it is. So what we say here is, of course, we can make this gray. We're going to make this gray, and we say this will be aqua. Yes, so it's a light blue type of color. So we say gray here. We save this. Remove this here. Let's save that. Refresh, and now you can see here we're loading, and it loads 23, and this is the remaining. Of course, this is not true. 23. So then, if it's not 23, so we have 77% to go. So let's save this. Refresh, and now you can see here we have this, and this is exactly how you can create another gauge chart where it says loading, and then it starts to load these kind of things. So this is really nice. So maybe you say, well, this is all fancy stuff. So, and of course we can do still even more. So you can even add up, for example, updating the values, and we can start to create some extra options here. So let's look what we can do really more that is maybe fun to explore. So one of the things that's probably an option as well is, let's go here a bit more to some more advanced features here. So if we scroll down here, somewhere is the updating of charts. So we need some Let's search here where it is. It's right now clicking, but it doesn't work. Alright, just let it load. Just take some time. So basically what we're going to do is we can probably update the chart with some new values as well. So you can see here, there's some, as you read here, see some additional options what you can focus on. So what we're going to do is we're going to just create a new feature or function. Yes. For that, what we need to do is we need to add up a button here. So what we're going to add up here is a small link or button. And in this button, we give it a class. We say btn dash success. All right. So we close this button as well, and we say update. And then what we can do now, here we can say here on click, we're going to add up a new function that says update chart. Yes, so that's basically a function that's on click, we trigger this function. So let's save this and then go back to our chart here. We have this update, but of course it doesn't work. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add up some additional options in here with the updating function. So what we're going to do is here, we just do the following. Basically, you almost can copy like this. So all we say here is for the function, you can just, let's copy this for now. It will make it very easy. And then we say here the following. Just put it underneath here, and then we say here the function. Then we'll just skip this. We're not going to focus on any of those. But what we say here is update chart. So that's the function that we created. And what does update chart do? Well, very simple. Let's start to update, and I'm going to remove some of these values here. Let me explain you what we're going to do. So imagine the following. If you're going to update, and you want to update, for example, your data sets, data. Nice. So we want to update that the data in our data set. So instead of 23, it should become 24. That's what we're going to do. So what we do is here is we'll select your data dot, and then we say here the data sets. Yes, data sets, and this is the first data set array. So basically we say 0 for the first one, and then we pinpoint the data in here. So data sets, data. And then we say equal the following. So we can just copy this, put it in here, and then we say instead of 23, we'll make it 50. All right. So basically what happens now is we are copying this, and we will, once we click on it, it will update and put in the new value. And you can see here I'm forgetting a dot, so make sure it's data sets dot data. So make sure there's a dot. All right. So this button here, or this function, is matched with our button that we created here, update chart. So that's very important. So once we have this, we save this, refresh, then we click here on update, and I guess we're forgetting something here. So you can see here the reference not defined. So let's double check here. Probably we're forgetting a few values here. So let's double check what's going on. Probably this. Refresh. Nope. Alright, so apparently a small mistake, very small mistake here is, of course, you need to make sure it's pinpointing the chart, right? So that's what that's what I forgot about. So we have the chart, and then in the chart, data sets, data. That's what we need. Alright, let's save this. Refresh, click update, and now as you can see, it updates. Of course, our update is a static one, meaning it's a fixed amount, so that's why it doesn't work, or it will not update more than that. So what we can do here as well is instead of this, we can, for example, push values as well in here. We can say push, meaning that we're going to add up a value within here. And let's say we're going to add up, basically in the array, we're going to add another value named 50. So I'm going to just put that away because it's a number. Refresh, and then if we click update, you can see now we're pushing a new value in here, and we keep on getting some new arcs, and all of these arcs are exactly 50 in value. So if you say, well, this is all fancy, but I would like to have like a color as well, no problem, we can do that as well. So what we have to do is, once we push the data set, what we need to push now is the background color as well. So what we say here, instead of chart data sets, background color, and then push, remember, color is a string, so we need to have quotations, and then in here we say, for example, green. Let's save this, refresh, and then if we push, now we're adding up green values here, green arcs. So this is quite useful if you want to have something and you want to keep on rotating it, for example. So this is basically how you can play around with it, and you can do even more. Besides push, yes, you have also pop. Yeah, pop basically means that you're going to remove a value. Yes, so that means that you're going to remove the background color. So let's look at that one. Let's refresh, and then we say here pop. What happened is that this one is time to remove, and then we add a new background color, but remove the one here. And same goes as well if you want to remove, for example, the value in here. So let's try that one. So we're going, instead of adding a new value, we're going to remove a value at the very first of the array. So let's refresh, and then we say pop. Oh, and there you are. Sorry, this is not the first one. Sorry, this is at the very end. Yes. So if you want to do the very first, of course you can do shift. Let's refresh. Then shift, then you remove that one, and you can see it starts to change, of course, the values. But this is basically how you can play around with this, and this is quite interesting. And of course, besides shift, unshift, adding up new values. Let's say here, let's unshift, and then we say 1000. And let's comment out this one, no need for that. Refresh, update, and now as you can see here, the first value becomes this, and then it becomes huge. And that's for unshift and shift and pop, and also the new, what was it, the other one that we had? We had like 4 things: shift, pop, and the push. So that's very important. So that's basically what you can do with this, and this is basically a nice gauge chart, gauge chart, sorry. And if you like this and you want to explore even more, check out the course that I have on Udemy, which goes deeper in ChartJS, where you learn all these kind of options and even more to become really professional with ChartJS.